Hello, friends. Strider here. I'm going to take over as the host of the Second Age Amazon Show podcast. I'm a fellow Tolkien nerd, and it is a really huge pleasure to be here as the Fellowship's substitute. So we are going to discuss some interesting things tonight. And of course, with me are Lakitia. Hello.
Hello and welcome, Strider. It's great to have you on board.
It is a pleasure to be here. Thank you. And of course, Kyle.
Yeah, hey man, it's great to meet you, and I'm looking forward to chatting.
Yeah, same. So we can start off right away with the first exclusive. So the first exclusive is that Owain Arthur, who we previously reported as a major dwarf, is now going to be playing the character Durin. So we do not know which Durin he's going to be playing, but it is said that he has gold feet and that there is a dwarf throne, which is said to be really massive. So what do we think about this?
Well, first of all, I don't really see the gold feet to be anything too literal. I mean, I sure hope not. It may be some sort of, I don't know, golden hued shoes or something.
Yeah.
No idea. I think we'll just have to wait and see. But in any case, it's good to hear. It's so one of the more prominent Durins was, of course, Durin the Third. So I'm wondering if maybe that's the one we are potentially looking at here. So he was the ruling king of Khazad-dûm when the Rings of Power were forged, and I think he was also the recipient of one of the Dwarven rings. So it's, I think, depending on the version of the Legendarium, it was either given to him by Celebrimbor or Sauron. Now, we know that the dwarves weren't exactly easily dominated by the rings, and it's not the same as the case was with the Nazgûl, for instance. They didn't become thralls exactly. But I think we could be seeing something like a change from the, maybe the good-natured outgoing dwarf to a more greedy and withdrawn one. So I think we could potentially be looking at a really interesting character, seeing his gradual decline, which I think would be really cool to watch. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I totally agree with that. I think you hit the head on the nail on the head there with caught myself up there. You hit the nail on the head 100% with I think if we're going to see kind of Khazad-dûm at its peak, we want to see a greedy dwarven king, I think, to go along with that. I think that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, I would also say that I think it's quite likely that it is during the third. So he was definitely, I think we are definitely going to see him. But since there was several Durins, maybe we can also see another one. But I would agree with that. And yeah, the rings, the dwarven rings, usually are described as just extending their greed, the level of their greed, really far. So I think you definitely, I think you definitely said the main thing, that what we can expect.
I kind of, in a way, I really hope they don't go the similar route they went with the whole dragon sickness. Which Thror and also Thorin succumbed to up to a degree. I think that was done a little bit more on the nose. So I hope if we're dealing with a potential ring of power here, which we absolutely don't know whether we are, but I hope it's dealt with in a very complex, nuanced manner. So yeah, my 5 cents.
Yeah, I would agree. It should be a bit more subtle, not hallucinations or something like that Thorin had, but more just like actual acting or like the change of tone in a character.
Yeah, I think you could play into a dwarven king's ambition in digging into the depths of the mountain and digging up Mithril and stuff like that. I think the ring kind of can strengthen that aspect of the character.
Yeah, and you could also have now this is pure speculation, but you could have a character who'd be more like a family man, a really loving, kind person, and then gradually see him turned into somebody who's really more selfish and just not that pleasant to be around. So I think there's some potential there.
I wanted to connect this actually with the second exclusive that we have, which is that there will be a King Durin in the show, and he's also a father and has a son called Durin as well. So
shocking.
We have that connection.
That's interesting. That's interesting. I think that, you know, if that's Durin 2 and then we have Durin 3, that's a really good way to get around maybe the age thing. And, you know, I think we have the relationship between Narvi and Durin 2 potentially, and you know, the Doors of Durin being created under Durin 2, as we assume, and
that's right.
Right. So I think if we could have Father Durin have from as Durin 2 and then son Durin as Durin 3, that's interesting. But I do wonder how it implicates like the reincarnation aspect of Durin.
Yeah, I just realized actually we could potentially, depending on what happens to the older Durin of these two, the same actor could potentially play them both.
Oh, that's wow. You know what? I didn't even think of that. That's a great point.
That, yeah.
Great, very great point.
Yeah. Well, for me, I absolutely agree with this, and this would be an interesting way to tackle it. We'd have the same actor, but with, you know, different shades of beard or something.
Yeah, sure.
But mostly, I don't think it's such a big surprise. I mean, you know, I hear Durin was quite a popular baby name at the time. So I think they're also likely condensing the timelines a bit. In the sense of they could be merging several kings together, and having done so that, you know, one particular Durin succeeds another one. But I think Durin the Third is a good candidate because, you know, there's a lot written about him, which can be said about many other Durins. So yeah, but of course everything depends on the time period that the show is taking place in. But I could also potentially see somebody like Durin the Third being transported over to the end of the Second Age, and, you know, maybe receiving the ring back then. I don't know. I'm not the biggest fan of that idea, but I could see that happening as well.
I do really like the idea of there being a father and son Durin, and how that would kind of alleviate some of the time compression issues.
And it would also alleviate the audiences because they wouldn't have to memorize quite as many names.
Absolutely, yeah.
Because we're gonna have some very exotic names. So if we just have a couple of, you know, dwarven lads named Durin, that sounds good.
Yeah, you cannot miss them. The thing is that also the edge of the character of the younger Durin is not known at the moment. As far as we know, it's not familiar. So
yeah,
if there's perhaps a time jump. At some point Durin the Third could maybe get the ring. If we assume that the Durin the Third will be the first Durin that we see, then maybe his son can, after the time jump, we can see the Durin the Fourth, for example, just speculating, who now has the ring.
Sure, yeah.
And then maybe he can be active during the battle, during the end of the Second Age.
Yeah, that's true. Though I think there was quite a big, you know, time difference between Durin the Third and the Second and the Third, or the Third and the the Third and the Fourth, because you know, if we have Durin the Third, who was during the forging of the rings, and then Durin the Fourth, who was, I believe, at the end of the Second Age. I would say there's probably a Durin in between. I mean, a king in between or something. I don't think they succeed each other, you know.
Well, there has to be time for that reincarnation to happen too, right? That's what I meant when I said that kind of implicates that part of it. But it's an interesting, it's certainly an interesting way to go about it, and they can obviously play with the age, like the ages. You know, we don't necessarily know how old Durin 2 or 4 were when they died. So I think there's some wiggle room there.
Yeah.
Well, the thing is that we will have two, like a father and son. They're both called Durin. So if they do some modifications with the timeline, this can be perhaps the way to do that regarding the leader of the dwarves.
Absolutely, yeah.
That sounds good.
Okay, so speaking of the leaders of the dwarves, another exclusive that we have is that there will also be a dwarven queen, the wife of King Durin, and all that is known around her is that the actress that is playing her is supposed to be, quotation marks, diverse female. So,
Okay.
and another thing that we know about her is that she'll be singing a sad lament with noble dwarves holding fire-filled vessels to commendate the dead from the cave collapse where many dwarves died.
Which we talked about in one of the earlier episodes of the show.
Yeah.
So what do you guys feel about this?
Okay, so, and I think we also know that these scenes are directed by J.A. Bayona. Am I mistaken?
Yeah. Yes, correct.
So that would mean that they're both from the first 2 episodes. So first of all, I believe we have a description which was brought to us by our friends at Night Edge Media that seems to fit the requirements for the role. So this is by no means confirmed, but I think this could potentially fit. So we have the character called Ada, which was, I mean, this is of course a code name. She was marked as a series regular to be portrayed by a female actress between the ages of 35 and 45. And her description goes, a warm and maternal female actor required for this comedic dramatic role. Singing ability a plus, but not a requirement. And I think we have just the actress for that role too.
I think so too.
So Sofia Novete has a comedy and singing background. She also fits the age requirement. And I don't know if it's just me, but I think, you know, she has this really lovely and kind face, and I certainly feel like she does have the warm and maternal quality to it.
And her voice.
Yeah.
She's quite the I think she has a theater background, right? Musical theater background.
So musical theater. Exactly.
This makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
And can I also just say it's nice to see that they're incorporating like singing music into this. Like, you know, we know how important poetry and songs are to Tolkien's work, so this is really cool.
There's still hope for Tom Bombadil somewhere down the line, and for the Tralalalali from the Rivendell Valley.
I don't know.
Oh yeah, that would maybe we could see that or hear that rather.
We'll have to wait and see.
Yeah, well, but I agree with you. Yeah.
If we get to see like more of Rivendell, hopefully, then maybe we can see someone like an elf composing that song.
Composing the Tralalali song. Yeah, that's a very, you know, that's a piece of art for sure.
truly it is.
No, but I think I agree with Kyle. I think, you know, it's really lovely. Like you say, Tolkien put such an emphasis on music and on songs and everything, and it's really good to hear. Though I have to admit that the scene description did remind me a whole lot about of Eowyn singing the at the funeral for her cousin. In
absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
That was an image brought to my mind. I hope they don't do it too on the nose, if that's where they're going. I hope they make it their own. But I'm also really intrigued by the scene description. So I think there may be some prominent characters who pass away during that scene. Otherwise, I don't think we'd be seeing a ceremony of this magnitude.
Good point.
So a thought occurred to me. This is, again, we don't know which Durins are the protagonists here. We don't know anything for sure. But could this maybe be when the old Durin passes away and is succeeded by Durin the Younger or something?
You think maybe in the mine collapse he doesn't make it out? Wow, yeah, maybe.
Potentially. I don't know, potentially. But also, I think really, really interesting is the fact that this is also all supposed to happen during Bayona's episode. So these are the 2 pilot episodes.
Yeah.
Now, of course, this may not be Sofia Novete, but if she is, I mean, she's been present during the whole duration of the filming for season 1, which means that her character likely also appears in episodes 3 to episode 8.
Right.
So could that potentially mean that we won't be seeing a time jump after all?
Or maybe just a small time jump.
Just a small one, a couple of hundred years. Yeah.
Or parallel timelines.
That was good, definitely, actually.
Yeah, no, that's a really good point.
Yeah, but that is a potential way, of course, how they can do it.
It
And
is.
again, we don't know anything for sure, but I think with the more I hear, I don't know, a lot of these actors seem to be present for the whole filming now. The
Yeah.
actors who are playing the elven roles, that makes sense.
Hmm.
But having the actors who, you know, play other roles there in New Zealand for a whole year, I mean, I know that they didn't expect the pandemic to happen or anything, but still having actors on set months ahead, I don't know. I'm starting to believe this whole parallel timelines theory.
Yeah, it doesn't. I mean, I'm still open to that. It doesn't bother me if it's done well. I know, like, The Witcher kind of left a bad taste in a lot of people's mouths, but I think there's a way to do it well. So we'll see.
Okay. Yeah. We'll
Yeah, I would
see.
agree with that because as you just said, like Witcher did, they overdid it basically.
Right.
They really made it complex and without clear time. Like we couldn't really follow what is happening when there weren't like any clues to
Yeah.
actually connect the timeline properly. But if it's done in a, let's say in a way, in a linear way with
Mhm.
clear distinction what was happening when, like it could actually serve a really good purpose.
Yeah. Yeah.
Totally agree.
We'll see. I'm
Yes.
really skeptical. Like you guys said, The
Mhm.
Witcher left a bad taste in many a mouth.
Yeah.
So
Shall we go to the next bit of news? Lakitia, do you want to read the next one?
Yeah, of course. So our next exclusive says there will be dwarven women in season 1 of Lord of the Rings on Prime, but they won't have beards. There is also a dwarven religious sect and a group which we will see in the first season. So, Strider, what do you make of this?
Well, to be fair, I was hoping to see dwarven women with beards.
Yes,
Like
same.
I think that would just be a really interesting way to show the dwarven nation or the dwarven race as
Yeah.
Tolkien intended it.
Mhm.
So I'm not like super disappointed that that's not going to happen. But if somebody asks me like, do you want this or not, I would definitely say I would love to see them with beards.
Mhm.
But
Yeah.
yeah, what do you guys think?
I agree with that. I'm of the same mind, but I would say that it's a huge relief now that we know that this will be the case. That this has been weighing on my mind since they announced the show, whether the dwarven women would have beards or not. So I'm really glad we have this out of the way.
Okay. Well, I mostly don't think it's a particular shock, but I will say I am disappointed. I mean, the dwarven ladies, the bearded ladies are so iconic, and I'd
Yeah,
love
like
to.
that Aragorn's joke, you know, when he's
Yeah,
showing Eowyn in Two Towers, that's just like so ingrained, I think,
Yeah.
in every
Yeah.
fan's like it's the beard.
Yeah.
exactly. And they
Just
also, you know, they used the bearded ladies in the Hobbit films.
Mhm. That's right.
They're very
all right.
briefly shown,
Yeah.
but you know, they did have very nice, very wispy, but very nice
Yeah.
beards.
It worked.
Yeah. So
Mm.
we'll see. So for the other part, the dwarven religious sect,
So
the group,
exciting.
what do you guys think about that?
So cool. All I can think of is Owlay and how they might, you know,
Ooh.
yeah, that like if even if they mention his name in this, I will be over the moon. And of course, there's also like the reincarnation aspect of the dwarven culture, and I think that could play into a religious part. And there's the afterlife, right? You know, where they do believe that they go to the halls of Mandos, and they go from there, right?
Oh, I was thinking also actually that maybe this could be even a bad thing in a way, not in a bad way, like regarding the show, but the religious sect could be motivated by some bad stuff, perhaps because maybe there's a ring involved, and some dwarves could be, I mean, dwarves are people. Some people could be supporting, perhaps pushing like for Sauron or something like that.
I kind of don't see the dwarven society divided in that way.
Then again,
Um,
maybe these are like Eastern dwarves, right? Like maybe these are
Mm.
dwarves out of the East, like you said, that participate with Sauron in other battles. That's an interesting point.
Because as far as I remember, I think like to skip all the way over to the end of this whole story, the end
Yeah.
of the Second Age, the elves were the only race that wasn't divided
That's right.
at the Battle of the Last Alliance. So
That's right. Yeah.
perhaps there could be like a group of dwarves who could be worshipping Melkor or Sauron or something like that.
Yeah, that's an interesting point too.
That's a really good point. Yeah.
I wonder if it could be like Melkor worshippers versus Aule worshippers or something like that.
Ooh, okay, that could be a really good metaphorical battle.
Yeah.
That's a good one. And you know, just posing Aule against Sauron, I think
Yes.
that's
And it also mirrors Numenor, right? Like you have the Kingsmen and the Faithful. So it's interesting.
But I'll say something.
Okay,
I kind of, no worries. I kind of don't see them. I really don't see them dividing the dwarven society in this way, mostly because I don't see that happening in Casa Doom, and I really doubt we're gonna see any other, you know, dwarven homelands in this show. Maybe we'll see something on the west of Middle Earth,
right?
But I don't think we'll be seeing any dwarven cultures from way into the east. But I could be wrong. I mean, there could potentially be just like them making just a cameo or something, just be a part of Sauron's army,
right?
But I kind of don't see them taking the center stage.
Sure.
Well, I would agree definitely. Like the Durin folk were fighting for the good guys. That there's no doubt about that. But since we do have the show that is going to revolve around the Seven Rings, I think there is room, but like there is definitely potential to see some other families of dwarves. But
yeah, that's a good point.
I think
give us some Stonefoots.
We'll mostly deal with Durin folk. Sorry.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, give us some Stonefoots. I'll take it.
Yeah, and also I wanted to say, like pitting Aule against Sauron. Sauron was the Maya of Aule, actually.
Yeah,
that's right. Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah,
and
that's why I think it's so interesting.
It is.
Yeah, and we have that duality, like the two craftsmen people.
Yes.
Who chose one chose the light side, one chose the dark side.
Yeah.
And it's really crucial to the dwarven identity, the craftsmanship. Well, I'm glad to see we're all in agreement about this. There's definitely a lot of potential with this. I mean, we are in agreement about the potential.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, let's
we'll leave it at that. Yeah.
I mean, I think it's gonna be pretty crowded already with the elves, and apparently some of the elves are being the central characters, and then all the Numenorians, and then we have dwarves as well, I think. But then again, you know, it's a long series, and I hope these characters will be given time to get developed. And exactly.
Yeah, if they go the Game of Thrones route, let's say the first 4 or 5 seasons, some storylines did take time to come to fruition. So like maybe we can see the signs of this depending on what's the origin of the sect and how important it is, but we can maybe see some origins and then see that actually come to fruition like the second season or something like that. We can just see the roots now.
Yeah.
But I also think that was one of the biggest criticisms of earlier seasons of Game of Thrones, the fact that Daenerys was stranded on another continent with several seasons before she even got in contact with people from Westeros.
Right.
So, but I will agree with you guys that there are ways that this can be done and that this can be done well.
Yeah, we have one more thing to share with you people. So Kyle, would you do the honors?
Yeah, I'd love to. So our last exclusive is a set report, and it's a quote. It feels like you are standing in a Peter Jackson film set when on the Dwarven sets. So the Dwarven sets are said to be aesthetically similar to the Peter Jackson designs from the movies.
I think those are the best news we could get.
I think it certainly will please many folks.
Yeah.
Though, then again, I know that lots of fans weren't exactly fans of the geometrical style that Jackson employed for the dwarves. But I think, you know, like it or not, it is synonymous with the dwarves by now. So I think Amazon will want to play it safe with the movie fans' emotions. But me personally, I would love to see a brand new take on it. So
Well, I think there, there is perhaps room for both, because we did see Khazad-dûm, but I mean, we actually saw Moria. We didn't see Moria when it was at its peak, when it was actually Khazad-dûm. So there may be different holes that we haven't seen inside. So maybe there is room for other styles,
Definitely,
while still
sure.
making the connection with Peter Jackson's vision.
Oh yeah, yeah, definitely. But what I meant was maybe I would love to see a whole nother, aesthetical direction for the dwarves altogether. I I kind of doubt that if we're setting this in a universe that is visually similar to Peter Jackson's, I doubt they will stray very far away from the geometrical style for the dwarves.
right.
And I think I would love to see another take on the whole concept altogether. But I think you're absolutely right that if we are to see different holds, I'm sure there's going to be big differences between them. And I'm kind of excited to see those. And I'm really excited to see Moria in its prime. I mean,
Oh my gosh.
Khazad-dûm in its peak.
Of course. Yeah, absolutely. I agree with all that. I think the other thing we have to keep in mind too is like the design of the dwarves themselves can be similar but distinct, right? Like they can have some of the same elements, but obviously if this is, Khazad-dûm and its peak, we're gonna probably see maybe a different take on costumes, and like we said earlier, these golden feet that this dwarven king has, and it might be a little more exquisite than what we're used to, even though they are quite exquisite to begin with. But there could be there's room to play with a lot of that stuff there, I think, as well.
Oh yeah, and I really hope they're gonna be really extravagant.
Yeah, they should be.
I really hope to see some opulence and just some glory of Khazad-dûm at this time.
Yeah, there absolutely should be. Yeah.
Well, as we have mentioned already before, if we do get to see other families of dwarves, then I think they will definitely try to make them distinct from one another. So I think that we are pretty much guaranteed to get at least some different vibe to the dwarves in one way or another. Though I personally like the connection with Peter Jackson, but I also do hope definitely that we also get to see a unique take on it, or maybe something different.
Yeah, I hope there's some thought put into it, right? I hope it's not just a direct copy of Peter Jackson, and I don't expect it to be.
Yeah, same. I think they've put a lot of thought into it all.
Yeah,
and I'm pretty sure that whichever direction they chose it wisely.
Yes.
And they have a really good artistic vision. I really believe that. So, but
I think
we'll
so
see
too.
what happens.
We will just have to wait and see.
Wow.
Yeah, less than a year now. Okay, guys, do you have any other comments about any of these news that we have today?
Please reconsider the bearded dwarven ladies.
They can totally CGI that. That's easy. Let's fix it in post, right?
Of course, you can still do it. There's still
absolutely
time.
Yeah. They've got a whole year, 10 months actually. They've got 10 months to figure it out.
Yeah,
exactly. So
I just really want for them to honor Aragorn's description, like that moment with his hand, it just like stuck in my head so perfectly for like 20 years now. That it's just like you have to have bearded ladies.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
then just the drunken Gimli's song or something.
Yes.
It's the dwarves that go swimming with little hairy women.
Oh yeah.
I know this is just movie universe. This did not happen in Tolkien's lore, but yeah.
Okay, well, I have to say it was a true pleasure to be here with the two of you. Thank you very much for your welcome, and it's an honor to be here substituting fellowship. So yeah, I really enjoyed this first episode with you. So thank you very much.
Yeah, it was lovely. Great job.
Yeah, really great to have you here. Awesome chatting, and let's do it again next week.
See you guys. Bye.
See you later.
Bye.
Until next time.
Until next time.
My friends. Yeah, there you go. All right.